Hi, this is cs.go. I'm Fiverr doing a demo review for Acus64. Let's get right into it. The first mistake that I see on your CT side here, you won the pistol, your teammates pulled out a really good round, and still this first mistake is all your team bought up rifles, which isn't the worst idea, although having at least a couple SMGs in there wouldn't hurt to like farm some cash, because in this economy it's likely that these guys are going to be saving, right? And yeah, it might be a good idea, especially for you, because the first mistake I see in this entire demo is that you have no head armor right here, and against an eco, which you know is the most likely situation the enemy team are going into, it could really harm your chances at getting this second round if they could just one-tap you. And then as the demo continues, first of all, that's not a very solid flash. It also doesn't look like you're doing it in a reproducible way. And also, you can see on the demo that it actually just lands right here in kind of the middle of the doorway. So if someone was holding that, they would be blind. Luckily, they weren't. And to top it all off, even though you do secure this kill, there's no real reason to push. If a guy was holding that, it would not have went well for you if he had good aim on a deagle or something, right? It's a really big risk to take, especially against an eco. Ideally, on these kind of rounds, you want them to come to you, apart from you going to them, especially because you want to hold onto those rifles and just keep the range advantage, keep them guessing, hold a little sneaky off angle. Just a couple of tiny mistakes here to highlight on the third round. First of all is that the smoke isn't consistent, or at least I think it's just a positioning. You've got the lineup right, but I can show you a little bit more consistent one right here. And also, on your approach to this A main, you walk for a little bit too long, right? Like, if the T's got a good spawn, you should be walking a little bit further back than you did, because if you only start walking that close to A main, then they're going to have a pretty good idea of what you're doing or where you are. Or they might even consider the shroud boost, but they definitely could be pre-firing that smoke if they hear you. Luckily, these guys don't seem to be too good. He's just spamming away, and you get the second trade, which is really unlikely, but it's a good job from you. Another small note about these aggressive players that you like to make with these kind of flashes into main and just peeking out, trying to catch them off guard and getting these quick kills, is that a lot of the time, when you do get a pick, like you're about to, like right there, the thing is about Counter-Strike is that the man advantage, especially on the CT side, is one of the best things that you can do for your team, right? And the thing is that you kind of deny yourself, these guys kind of handing you this down the plate, but you just keep aggressing even though you see two people there, right? And then in the end, you kind of deny yourself the advantage because you just keep on pushing, right? You won't stop until you've killed them all, basically, is what it looks like. And the reason why that's bad is that you could have just backed off after that first kill, right? Scared that second guy off with just throwing at him, and he went back. You could have just backed off, went back to the site, and had a 5v4 for your team. In this next round here, round 5, is pretty much the only round you didn't find any success. And half of the reason for that is that they went B, and this is an eco, but it's also that you didn't really analyze the situation much. If you look at the minimap, you can see that the T's have cleared out this site. It's you and your teammate here rotating from A and mid, and you can see on the minimap in the top left that they have completely cleaned all of these kills out on B, right? You know your teammates died on B, they completely wiped them out. And the thing that you've got to be aware of is that sometimes when the T's have such an advantage and they do it so quickly, they just clear out B so quickly, is that a lot of the time you should be thinking about the potential for a push that's coming through. You should maybe consider just holding the angle a little bit. You have so much time left in the round, there's no reason not to. They've taken it quickly. They want to get aggressive and secure the round even more, secure some more map control. And you can take advantage by their aggression, their mistakes, by just waiting, using the resources you have available, in this case, the time you have left on the clock, and using that to outplay your opponent. Instead, you kind of just rush in, right? You weren't completely ready for that, and that guy gets the kill on you when you could have just held like a wider angle on him, waited for him to push out even more, and then hopefully you would have been able to line up that deagle a little bit better, get a little bit easier of a shot. Round 6 is a round where your lack of positioning, your lack of positional knowledge, and your early utility usage in the round kind of came back to bite you in the ass, right? At the start of the round, you kind of did a flash out mid that didn't really help you, and then you kind of just ran through mid anyway and took a little bit of damage. And that wasn't really suggestible because it didn't really get you any advantage, right? You kind of just flashed it for the sake of flashing it instead of flashing it to move through B. You also could have just moved through in a more safe way. But also, here on the B, I mean, you hear these guys' footsteps. You don't really do much to change up your position, right? This kind of position's kind of good for getting info on the guy crossing checkers, maybe getting one kill and then falling back into a one and done, right? It's not really the kind of position you want to play in a 4v4, especially on the B site. It's really difficult to take. You more want to be playing a crossfire with your teammate here. The reason for this is exactly what happens, right? Your teammate takes this contact and you're not in a position to trade. He goes all the way back and then this guy peeks you, right? He's trying to peek your teammate, but he peeks you first. You get into an awkward gunfight, and because of that damage you took earlier in the round and the position you were in, you can't get back to cover, and he kind of just gets an easy kill. Another couple of mistakes with your mid play here, the first being this smoke, which goes way too deep. What you really want to do is just aim at like the little steel bit in the middle of mid. When you're running, you aim at the bottom of that, and then it should smoke off main perfectly every time. And then the second mistake is just the amount of time you hold this for. Alright, you wait a little bit, nothing happens, and then at 1 minute 40, you're 15 seconds into the round. You can't have gotten more than one step on B, right? One person stepping on B. You can't have gotten more than that info. And then you're right over there. This is a really bad decision because, you know, T's can run out main later than 15 seconds into the round. It's possible, right? They could creep out, they could lurk out, and you're just leaving your A players completely exposed. Especially with this rotate, you didn't have anyone with you mid, right? So your A guy has to rotate all the way down to mid while you're here on B. And you already have two teammates here. Your teammate already rotated. You just gotta trust them on B, and you need the mid hold on cash. If they have mid, they can go through vent, they can go through highway, they can go through connector and flank you right now. Luckily your teammate rotated, but if he didn't, they could have flanked you. And then all these rotates just end up detrimenting the round so much because your A guy had to move off of A, and then you can see that this T guy here, he's just got an A for free. You can just hold down these angles and they're moving the bomb in. So it may not have seemed like it, but your mid rotate forced your A player to move to mid, and then you had 3 on B, even though the call wasn't really in. And they got a free A site because of that, off of just 1 kill. You really don't want that to be the situation. Another problem I saw in your CT side, quite a few rounds this happened actually, is you'd get yourself into a really good position. Just like this, right? You're in this really good position. It takes a while for anyone else to come out and trade you, right? You could have fell back, and like they don't have the information on you, right? And you have 17 bullets left in this M4A1S. 17 left, right? You could kill multiple people with that amount of bullets. Instead, what you do, just as this guy's about to peek out, unfortunately, is you give your position away with that reload. It's a small detail that a lot of people can miss, but a lot of the times in this CT half, you gave your position away on the rotate with your footsteps, with your reloads, with a spam that you didn't need to do, right? When you could have concealed your position and had a much better chance of winning. You want to think about the information that you're potentially giving your enemies at any moment, right? Anytime that you want to make noise, you need to think about, can someone hear this and will it give them an advantage? And when you're at this shroud boost position, you're completely out in the open. The only advantage that you do have is that they don't know where you are. And by doing this reload, you completely give away that advantage, right? This guy hears you, he knows where you are, goes around the corner and just pops you in the head, because that's the only position you can be in. So yeah, what really cost you the kill that round, you could have finished it off. You could have made that really good play and then put the cherry on top. The one thing that cost you was you weren't thinking about the info that you're giving the enemy team, and so that guy got a really easy kill. You sent me 2 demos, so we're going to move over to Overpass to check out your T side, and the first mistake that I see here comes from the pistol round. First of all, you knew a guy was here. You knew he was low as well. You lit him up a lot, and then you kind of just jump around like you don't know where he is, even though the only position he could have been is that corner there. You should really check every corner, especially because if you don't see that guy, he's kind of disappeared. And then secondarily, you need to, again, just analyze the situation you're in. You've just planted the bomb. Your team's got five alive. The enemy team has 4 alive, and yet you commit to this out in the open fight. The problem with this is that you've got the advantage and they need to come to you, right? You don't really need to push anything here, and by being open in this spot and not hiding, waiting for them to come to you, you are giving them a free kill into this round. You're giving them a free gateway, right? A free kill. Luckily, your teammates are in a good positions to trade, but if that had went worse for your team, it could have been a completely different game based on this pistol round. Another small mistake I noticed here is just really simple. You have to realize on the T side when you have the bomb, especially when there are certain risks involved, right? Right here, you're playing against the second round eco again. These guys are half forced, but the guy you're going up against, you heard him shoot a P250. You know he's pretty much eco'd, right? And the problem with this is that when you've got the bomb, you shouldn't really be making these aggressive plays, especially when you have such an advantage. Luckily, it doesn't come out as a fight, but if he had been holding for you there, your crosshair definitely wasn't in the right place for an off angle or anything. And if he had been holding you, he got the bomb down and your AK, that's certainly a winnable round for him. He could pull something out. So just be aware when you've got the bomb, and just be aware of taking less risks in that situation, especially against the ecos. It's just not worth it for that one kill. You could lose an entire round. Just another note here about your caution, especially against force buys and ecos and stuff. You do seem to be like a lot better aim-wise than the people that you play against normally, so you do kind of go for this more aggressive play style, right? Just dry peeking these angles and getting these kills. But the thing that you need to understand about these force buys, you saw that guy only had an SMG, right? And you have a massive advantage. They're probably forced up. You just need to realize that they're atypical, right? And that they could stack angles. You just walked just right in front of this guy who was up there, right? You just need to check your angles a little bit more, because even though you are better than them, if you don't check these angles, they can gain a massive advantage by just being rats, right? And catching you off and getting a good angle on you. Whereas normally they wouldn't win that fight, right? Teammate just straight out, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but you could have easily gotten that kill if you had just taken more time after recognizing it was a force buy. In this round, your real downfall was your utility usage here. The first example of this is this Molotov that comes in. First of all, that doesn't really get them out of any angle that they could be at, right? They could still be deep in that bathroom and your teammates still wouldn't be able to see them and you still wouldn't be. It doesn't really help, it just stops them pushing out, which really would be an advantage to you at that point. You've got 2 Ts there you could trade out, right? So then later in the round, after clearing the site a little bit, checking all the angles, you smoke the bomb. Now that isn't really required considering you've already cleared all the angles, right? They could be hiding, but you've also got teammates with you that would kill them if they tried to kill you, right? And that smoke could be better used in the jump up / dumpster position, whatever you want to call it. And what I was picking on that Molotov earlier in the round, that could be used on bank. And the reason you want to molly bank is it's the best position to get it's a hard angle, right? You can kill someone and then fall back really easily. Kill someone trying to push site, fall back really easily, and then try and get an advantage for your team, right? That's why I want that molly to be used bank while you're crossing to the site. But you didn't do that. Luckily it didn't harm the round, but that's just more efficient utility usage, really, that you could be doing, is smoking that jump up to deny the rotate and molly in the bank instead of using your molly early in the round to stop them getting any kind of pick. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and you're interested in getting a demo review for yourself, you can check out my profile on Fiverr, cs.go, using the link on screen.